name is Mark Prosser, and I'm the Public Safety Director and Police Chief for the City of Storm Lake. I came here as the Police Chief in October of 1989, and then in June of 2000 I became the Public Safety Director with oversight responsibilities for all emergency services. When I arrived in 1989, especially early in 1990, we saw our packing plants expanding, and the workforce was not adequate here for them to sustain all the jobs they were offering. And so they began a national recruiting program that continues today to bring employees to Storm Lake. And so Storm Lake at that time, upon my arrival, did have a sizable Southeast Asian community, primarily Vietnamese and Lao, that were brought here in the late 1970s and early 1980s as part of a church relocation program for refugees. In 1990, we started to see our Spanish-speaking citizens arrive and really grow in numbers to become our largest ethnic group in the community today. But for the last 25 to 27 years, we've seen a drastic shift in our demographics, with as many as 30 languages spoken at the adult level, 18 languages spoken in our public school system, and just a wide variety of cultures and ethnicities that now call Storm Lake home. The biggest hurdle to overcome in dealing with a diverse clientele is the hurdle of language. So we've had to learn how to operate in a multilingual scenario, both with having full-time bilingual staff or having a cadre of volunteers who we can call on that help us with a variety of different languages and dialects. That's the biggest challenge in providing services in a diverse community. The second biggest is cultural differences. Many of the folks that we deal with come from completely different backgrounds and completely different experiences with government. In some cases, their law enforcement or their public safety people were their police. They were the judge, the jury, and the executioner. In other cases, they come from scenarios where their law enforcement just operates under a complete philosophy of corruption. And so we have to overcome those hurdles. And we're also a part of a variety of coalitions in the community where we always come to the table when there's a discussion, when there's a concern, and try to have public safety and more specifically the police at that table as a partner with all of our ethnic groups. Currently, we've most recently been involved in conversations about immigration enforcement and how it may or may not change under the new presidential administration. And so we're very outspoken, and I'm very outspoken, that local law enforcement shouldn't be in the immigration business. We shouldn't be worried about that we need to be policing and protecting and serving everybody that calls Storm Lake home. I think every law enforcement agency, every public agency, no matter what service they provide, have a responsibility in creating relationships, bridging gaps, trying to understand and be a part of their community just as much as policing a community. I've always said that the real definition of community policing is the police officers taking ownership in their community and the community taking ownership in their law enforcement agency. And that comes through education, that comes through communication, public meetings, forums, transparency, in a variety of different fashions. And I think that's a clear responsibility, and I think it pays dividends. For as diverse as we are, and if not the most diverse community in the state of Iowa, certainly in the top 2 or 3, I'm very proud of how Storm Lake embraces diversity and deals with cultural change and shifting demographics, and historically how it has done that for 2.5, almost 3 decades now. I want to be clear that there are certainly challenges, there are certainly mistakes being made, there is certainly racism, but as a whole, from our business community to our faith community to our educators to our health field to public safety, I think we've done really well.